How much does it cost to weld that? How much did it cost to weld that? How much did it cost to weld that? How much did it cost to weld that? Alright, so seems like a lot of people want to know how much it costs to weld things. For some reason, you know, a lot of people comment on my videos, a lot of people comment on other people's videos. So I'm going to make a video about that. Alright, so in one of my last videos I did, somebody asked the question, you know, how much does welding repairs like this cost? And it depends, you know, on the company you hire, it depends on the area you're in, depends on a lot of things. So I'm gonna make a video showing how I charge. There's two different ways you can do it, you know, flat rate or hourly. But there's also some other ways to charge to figure out what welding repairs cost. So I'm gonna go ahead and try my best to make a video about this. So I've got some parts in front of me right now on my welding table. They're for a wood chipper. Problem with this part is that you know, it's cracked right there. This is a plug weld which also cracked, so I'm going to grind that down, re-weld that crack, then put a reinforcement over top of that, paint it black, send it back with the customer. And then this one is it's cracked right here along this old repair, and then it's also cracked here and here, and then also one of our little pins broke. That one right there, you see how that one has a piece sticking out of it, this one does not. So the little pin inside the big pin broke. I have a new one of these on order. It's not here yet. So for today, we're just gonna work on the cracks and then send it back with the customer to get this guy up and running. Full disclosure here, I am the customer and I'm also the guy doing the welding repairs. This is not a customer project, this is mine. But I'm going to refer to it as the customer because, you know, on most jobs, your customer is going to be somebody besides you. So, yeah, keep that in mind as I explain this. Yeah, so first thing we're going to show you guys is an hourly job. So we got our little fancy little time clock here, super duper fancy. You know, you want to make sure you get the fanciest one you can because you know your time is valuable. For our next repair after this one, it's going to be a muffler job or an exhaust job. That one we're going to figure up flat rate fees for that, and I'll show you how I do that. So for this one's going to be hourly. So before I get into doing the repair, I got mostly everything I need ready to go. We're going to look at our time clock, and then I have a whiteboard up over there. I'm going to write down my time. So you see the time, 13:37. By the time I get the camera shut off and worked around, it's going to be 13:40. So we're going to write down 13:40 as our time. That's what time we started. So let's get into it. Alright, so for our first repair, or our first course of action, I already have the flap wheel on this grinder. I'm going to go ahead and take this weld down so that I can fit a sleeve over top of this. Alright, now I'm going to switch over to the cutting wheel. I'm going to go ahead and grind them cracks out. Alright, that's about the best I can get with that. That there is just for the ground. Since both of these parts are for the same customer, I'm going to go ahead and clean this up as well, since I have the wheel and the grinder that I need. Alright, now I'm going to switch back to the flap wheel. Alright, and there's another crack that I found when I was wire wheeling that, or grinding that, so I'm going to switch back to the cutter wheel. Open that crack up. Alright, so now we're going to get into the welding part of this. Alright, set up for steel. The customer wants this TIG welded. If all you had was a MIG welder, you could MIG weld this, but we already MIG welded it. And because of the nature of this machine and what it does, it vibrates a lot. The TIG welder is going to work out a lot better. TIG welds are a lot stronger, and some auto body guy that does like fancy high-end work explain this a lot better than I can. The way TIG welding holds up when you're beating on body panels and stuff, and it's pretty much what this is. It's a body panel and it gets beat up a lot, so I'm going to TIG weld it just because, you know, the customer wants this TIG welded. We dipped our tungsten, that was my bad. I'm going to go ahead and clean that up. But our time is still running. Alright, I'm gonna let this cool down so that way I can, I'm gonna work on this piece here. Now while this thing's cooling down, that way I can grind this without destroying my wheel. Just slip a sleeve over that. I'm going to sharpen my tungsten again, and then once I sharpen the tungsten, I'm going to turn up the amps a little bit on this one. This might actually be a stainless tube. If it is, no worries. I'll just grab a stainless rod and put a stainless tube on this. That's the advantage of welding with TIG. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and paint these things. I got gray for this and gold for this. The thing to understand about painting is it's all up to the customer. Some customers are going to want it. Some customers feel it's cheaper if they paint things themselves. This customer said to throw some spray paint on it, but he's not too worried about what color it looks like. So since I have gold, we're going to go ahead, spray this one gold. We're going to hit it when it's hot. Let that paint bake in there. Yeah, just like that. Heck yeah. Some people on YouTube get really mad at me the way I paint things. So, you know, I talked to this customer. He said he doesn't care as long as we get some paint on there. Alright, so now we're done. Alright, so now we're done. We're going to look at this. Our time clock says 14, what is that, 14:39. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to write that on our board. Alright, so now we got our board here. We actually caught some really easy numbers here. Our start time, 13:40. Our end time was 14:40. So what we're going to do now is we're going to write down our work time, which is 1 hour. If you had something, say like 39 minutes, an easy way to get that into hours is to make that a fraction, 39 over 60, and that's going to give you a decimal. If you convert that fraction into a decimal, that's going to give you your exact amount of hours. But for this repair, we had exactly 1 hour. Our rate is $80 an hour. So that repair cost us, we're going to charge our customer $80. The metal that I had into that was scrap metal, so I don't charge for scrap metal. We'll write this down here. There we go. Then we're going to add those two together to get us a total of $80. I don't know how taxes work, so don't listen to me about taxes. But that's how you get your subtotal. Some people like to charge for scrap metal when they weld it. Some people like to charge for spray paint. You know, I don't. Especially if it's a lot. Well, if it's a lot of paint. If I had to buy 5 gallons of paint, yeah, I would. That's just less than a can of spray paint. I'll use that can for multiple jobs, so I just figure up that in my hourly rate. I can make another video showing you guys how to figure out an hourly rate if you want, if there's interest in that. You know, I have different rates for different things. But for the shop, we're at $80 an hour. Doing small repairs like this. That was before I got the TIG welder. I may have to figure out a different rate for the TIG welder. So yeah, $80 for that repair. Most people, when they bring me stuff, they'll bring it to me in pieces. already disassembled. They usually don't bring me the whole unit coming to this shop. Sometimes I do get whole units, and then I have to add more labor, get that piece onto the table. But this is how I figure up my rates. So that's hourly. Let's get into fixed rate. Alright, so for those of you that were confused about what I was actually welding or fixing there, I was fixing that and the handle to this thing. Like I said, the reason why I didn't bring that in the shot, because usually I get these pieces and I don't know what they are, and honestly it doesn't really matter. But what we did here, we welded 2 welds in there, that one, and then that one over there. We welded, I think it was right here. Hold on, camera ain't focused. Where are we? We got a weld in here. There is some porosity in that one, so we'll see if that one breaks or not again. Sometimes I like having defects in my own stuff like that. That way I can kind of see what all is happening. You know, kind of use it as like a science experiment. If I have porosity in this thing and it cracks, well then I know, you know, I gotta do better on customer stuff. If I have porosity in this and it doesn't crack, especially in this application, you know, I know a certain percentage of porosity is okay on a customer project. Sometimes I mess up my own stuff on purpose. This one I didn't mess up on purpose. I just was rushing. Instead of wire wheeling all the junk out of it, I just kind of welded right over top of some of the junk, and that's why I got porosity with the TIG welder, which is one of the downsides to using TIG. And then one of the welds in here, like this outside perimeter piece was cracked, so I ground that out and welded that. And then here's our patch on the handle. You know, you can see it's gold. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. I only did that because I knew people in my comment section like to troll me for how I paint. So, you know, I just grabbed whatever I found first. It's actually black now. Anyway, we got our patch plate there. We welded inside of it, grounded flush, put our patch plate on, welded the patch plate on. They're not perfect welds, but it's better than it was. That's what $80 got us on this one. I guess one way to make that cheaper is to either MIG weld it. I probably could have got that done in half the time, and because I'm charging by the hour on this one, that would have been a cheaper overall cost for the customer. But then at the same time, even though it was a cheaper total cost, it was a cheaper product if I would have MIG welded it. The TIG welds hold up a lot better than MIG welds usually when a better person does it. So I mean, we're gonna see if my TIG welds hold up like they're supposed to. So like I said, if that was MIG welding, I probably could have got that done in for $40. I just decided to TIG weld it because that's what the customer wanted in this case. So it cost $80. Again, consumables are kind of included in my hourly rate. One of the reasons why I don't price out scrap metal for patch plates like this is because it's literally scrap metal. I don't know where I got it from. I didn't pay for it. If I have to figure out what 3 inches of that piece of metal costs, it's going to cost me more time to figure out the price to sell that for than, you know, if I just give it away. I'm not really losing anything. So I'd only sell that for like a penny at the scrapyard. So if it was like a bigger piece of metal, you know, I might be more worried about it. But, you know, small stuff like that, I just throw it on there, you know. Cleans up my shop a little bit, and then customer gets the repair job. if I had to price that out, it might even be 50 cents, you know. If you put something on your invoice for 50 cents, you know, what's that gonna tell your customer? You know, you're trying to nickel and dime them for everything they got. So that's one of the reasons why I don't put scrap metal on my invoices. So, yeah. Alright, so now we're going to get into a fixed rate or a flat rate fee for doing a muffler job. I'll show you, I'll put a screen over here. I have to replace my muffler. I have to replace a muffler in this Toyota Tacoma because it's starting to rot out on the inside. It's making a lot of loud noises, so the customer wants a new muffler on this thing. They didn't really say what they wanted, so I priced out 2 different options for them. So we got a glass pack with a turn down, which is very simple. It's not all that, it doesn't cost all that much, so it's pretty cheap. It's not the best sounding system in the world, but it's gonna work. It'll be a muffler on the dude's truck. And then I also went and found out the prices for a catback system from Rough Country, which is like a dual exhaust. Pretty much if everything was new, you would just cut the bolts off of your old system, pull everything off, and then right behind where the catalytic converter is, there's like a flange. You just bolt this system right up to that, mount everything, and then you're good to go. Alright, so back to what I was saying. Yeah, we got 2 different options here. This customer wanted a price, like a flat rate fee. Like, they don't care how much labor I'm going to have into this. They just want to know how much it's going to cost them. So I figured up flat rate fees. When you do this, you got to figure out your material. So for the glass pack, I had roughly $60. It's not exactly 60, it was like 58 something. But we're going to go ahead for this math, make it easier. We're going to figure up $60 for the catback system for the stainless. It was $500 roughly. It was like $498 something. So 500. Our upcharge is 35%. So you take this number, times it by 1.35, and that will get you this number here. Or you can do it by times 0.35 to get you your 21, and then you add 21 to 60 to get this number. If you just have a calculator, it's a lot easier. Just type in like 500 times 1.35, and that's your number. This is how much the customer is paying for the parts if you have to supply them. So the customer would pay $81 for material, to put on a glass pack, $675 to put on a stainless catback system for this particular truck. And then I figured I would have 1.5 hours of labor to put on the glass pack and 3.5 hours to put on the catback system. And this is purely a guess based on experience. You know, I've done welding a little bit. This one here, I mean, I kind of think I'm on point. There's a lot of jobs you'll get into, especially being a mobile welder, where you have absolutely no clue how long it's going to take you. And you're pretty much just throwing a number out there. But sometimes you have to do that in order to win some bids. You can win or you can lose. And that's the nature of bidding flat rate. So pretty much you take how long it's going to take you, you multiply that by your hourly rate. So 1.5 times 80 gets you 120, and that's the cost of labor that your customer is going to pay, regardless of how long it takes you. Then you add the total cost of material plus your labor to get you your total cost that the customer will pay. And being a small business, you can round this to whatever you want it to be. If I came up with 201, I can just tell the customer $200, or I can tell them 250. You know, round it however you want to round it. Keep in mind that you know, if you round up too high, you're probably not going to have too many customers. If you round it down too low, you're losing out on a lot of money. So the bigger you get, the more you have to stick to what the actual cost is, even if it's some weird number. But anyway, that's besides the point. And then over here, you know, the total cost of material plus the total cost of labor, I came up with a total cost of $955. I would charge the customer to put on a catback system, $201 to put on a glass pack with a turn down. Like I was saying, the nature of flat rate, it can work out really good for you if you bid correctly. I bid 1.5 hours. If I can get this done in 30 minutes, then that extra time just goes in my pocket. If it takes me 5 hours and I only bid 1.5 hours, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I can still only charge the customer $201. So you can lose out pretty easily doing flat rate, but you can also win pretty easily doing flat rate. So this is how you figure it up doing flat rate. Like I said, I'm not going into how I figured up my hourly rate in this video. If you want to see that, we will, I can make another video on that, but that would be pretty lengthy. And I guess the advantages of flat rate is, as a contractor, you're taking all the risk financially. The customer, like I said, they're agreeing to a price and that's what they're paying. They don't care how long it takes you. If you're doing an hourly rate, then the customer is taking the risk, because you could be really quick or you could be slow as molasses, and they get charged an arm and a leg for something extremely simple. Whereas with the flat rate, they get to see what they're paying up front. They agree to a price before you do the job. So now that we agreed to a price, we're going to do the glass pack system here. The reason for that is this customer actually likes the glass packs on their vehicles. Some customers hate these things. Sometimes money is not the issue. It's the product that you're offering. Like I said, this customer likes glass packs. Some customers are going to like their stainless catback system. It all depends. Just because your price is lower on this one doesn't mean they're going for that. Just because your price is lower for this doesn't mean that they're extremely cheap to work with. It could just mean they like glass packs or the cheaper product that you're offering. So keep that in mind. If they pick the cheaper price, don't try to cut corners just because you think they're cheap. They just might like that cheaper offering. So let's get under the vehicle and I'll show you what we got going on here. Alright, so we're underneath this Toyota. There's the muffler. Like I was saying, it's rusted out on the inside. You can't tell from the outside, but like there's starting to be some holes like here, I think here, where it's rusting through. And the baffles on the inside are coming apart. It rattles like hell when you're driving down the road. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the pipe somewhere in here, and I'm gonna weld a cherry bomb or a glass pack onto this existing pipe, and that's what we're gonna work with. I might try to cut this mount right here, and then that way I have something to weld onto the new system that's going on. If not, I've driven these without mounts before. It's not too big of a deal. But if I were to use the glass pack system, this is, or the cat back system, this is what I was talking about with the flange. This is the resonator pipe. There's a catalytic converter right in front of it. Normally, if this was new, you just take these bolts off and then throw on the new system. But because of how rusty it is, I would have to cut right behind that flange, weld on a new flange, and then bolt the new pieces onto the new flange. And then everywhere from here back would be stainless steel. It would be a better muffler, and I think it was a dual exhaust for the system I was looking at. So one would go that way, the other one would go where the stock exhaust comes out at. I'm not going to be putting that on because this customer did not want that sort of system on their vehicle. So we'll go back into the shop and show you what I'm going to do. Alright, so this is our table here. This is the parts we had to pick up. This is the muffler. What I was talking about with the glass pack. It's a new muffler. Pretty much, I'm going to cut my exhaust, and then normally I would like to have two of these. One will go here, just get welded there, and then when I stick this under the truck, just weld this side onto the existing pipe. Because I could only get one of these at the store I went to, I'm going to cut this in half and then just weld. I'm going to weld a butt joint around the pipe, grind it down, and then take this and, you know, have it half and half. One will go here, the other one will go over here. This is the turn down. That's going to get butt welded like so. And then, like I said, half of this is going to be over top of that. Once I butt weld it, then I'll do a lap joint with that reinforcing pipe over top of this. I'm going to probably MIG weld this. It doesn't have to be super perfect, and there's a lot of crud in this. So yeah, I'm going to do this in the shop, and then go underneath the truck to actually put the front end of the muffler on. And I'll do this off camera because, like I said, it doesn't matter how much time it takes me, because I already did a flat rate. So I'll get back with you when I'm done. Alright, so far, this is what we got. Our muffler, and then our turn down welded on there. These things here were a little bit larger than the pipe, so I made a slit in it so I could get it welded down. I could get it welded better. I was able to pound it closer to the pipe instead of having a gap. And you see what I'm saying about, you know, a lot of people talk crap about my welds, but this is from the factory, that little BB. I mean, that's a whole big thing there. My welds on this one should look a lot better than the factory welds on this. I mean, they left a whole lot of stuff on this one here. And there's another one like that. So, you know, if you're thinking you gotta be a perfect welder to run your own welding company, that's a lie. You just got to do better than most people can. Nothing has to be perfect. Well, I mean, some stuff has to be perfect, but nothing like this has to be perfect. It just has to look somewhat presentable. So we got our turn down on there. Now we'll get under the truck, get this thing welded on. Alright, so I just got done welding this thing here. As you can see, all the welding stuff here. That's the old muffler. It's starting to rot out on the inside. And then this is what we got underneath it. I ended up not using the second that piece just because of the way this thing fit. I wasn't expecting it to slide over like it did, but it was able to slide the cherry bomb over the stock pipe, get that welded in there. And as you can see, it's not stacking dimes, but that stuff should hold. It's a muffler weld. My weld's way better than their weld, so I'm hoping that holds. And then I had to cut, there was actually 4 brackets holding this on. I only thought there was 2. But I welded that bracket to the cherry bomb. I don't know if I can get adjusted in here. I can't see the camera. Oh, no, actually I can. So, yeah, that's where I welded it to the cherry bomb. I'm just going to leave it hanging out for now. I mean, this ain't no chip foose build. Ain't no show car, it's a work truck, you know. I think I got all the way around the cherry bomb on this end. Twisting the camera into weird angles here. Yeah, so it's welded all the way around. I'm gonna crawl out from underneath this thing. We'll start it up. See what it sounds like. So that's what it sounds like. I believe it got rid of the vibration noise that I was hearing. And again, like I said, that's the price it would have cost if I was doing this for a customer. Which, I don't know, that's not too bad. And I never bid based on scrap metal, getting it or not getting it. I mean, it doesn't matter if this was a copper exhaust or stainless exhaust or whatever. It's scrap metal. Always bid your scrap metal differently than your welding. Usually I'll just take it for free. I don't include that in the bill. Some people want their scrap metal back, so you know, that scrap metal is a separate transaction than welding. But in this instance, you know, customer wants me to take this, so that's what I'm gonna do. Hopefully this helps somebody. Alright, so I hope this video helps somebody out there. The important thing to keep in mind is it does not matter what my shop rates are. You have to figure out your own shop rates and then use the system, whether it be hourly, flat rate, or day rates, either or, you know. Any way you go about it, as long as you understand the system of how you figure out how to charge people, eventually, you know, you're going to figure out how you can better adjust your rates. And alright, so the muffler repair on the Toyota, even though I wasn't doing that hourly, I timed myself and it actually was an hour and a half to do that. So, you know, that would have been spot on. Had I done the catback system, I don't know, I've never done one of them before. So I was kind of just guessing at the hourly, at how many hours it would take. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, you know. When you're doing flat rate, that's the good thing about it, is you can pretty much spit out a price, and even if you're way over, if the customer says yes, you know, you're good to go. Go ahead and get that project done. If you think it's going to take 7 hours and you do it in 30 minutes, some more money in your pocket, you know. But on the flip side of that, if you keep doing that and the customer's like, hey man, this dude overcharging me, eventually, you know, you're probably not going to get too many calls back unless you're extremely good at what you do. Not just the welding aspect of it, but the customer service aspect of it as well. And you know, with hourly, when you're starting out in the very beginning, you know, especially if you've come from a different background where, like, you know, you went from like driving trucks or, you know, working in an office somewhere to bam, now you're out, you're your own boss doing your own welding company. Don't expect to be able to charge your full hourly rate right off the bat, especially if you're slow. When I first started doing my own stuff, I actually bid flat rate on things. First thing I bid on was like a bucket repair. I looked at it at night, it was completely shot. I mean, it was cracked everywhere. I bid 3 hours on it at $45 an hour, I think. And it took me about 11 hours of cutting, grinding, and welding to get that thing straight and pretty solid. There was a few projects after that I kind of underbid on. And then even in the beginning when I was starting out doing hourly stuff, I probably wasn't charging as much as I should have, but I knew I was pretty slow. And that's kind of to be expected when you're just starting out, you know. So if you do the math beforehand and you figure out you need to charge like 120 an hour, if this is your first day on the job, don't expect a customer to pay you 120 an hour if you suck at welding. But I said you might have to lose money to gain experience a little bit. Then once you get the experience, then you can start charging full hourly rates, or charging what you need to charge, I guess. And like I said, this isn't a video talking about how to make your rates or where to set your rates. This is just to understand the system of how to charge people, because a lot of people seem to not understand that for some reason. So if you guys like this video, hit the thumbs up. If you want me to make another video talking about how I set my rates, or how you should set your rates, go ahead, leave a comment down below. I'll try to do that. See ya.